1 week ago, I made a video on a revolutionary iPhone Golf app, which is arguably one of my most popular videos with nearly 50,000 views in the space of 7 days. And I had the pleasure 2 days ago to sit down and have a chat with the creators, two brothers from South Africa that have come up with arguably an app that I think is going to change the game when it comes to launch monitors over the next 5 years. Let's do it.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks, Simon. Yeah, we always.
That's what I was looking for. That's the only reason I set up this meeting. Quick thank you. I saw that Instagram ad. I was like, "What's this?" I thought it was like complete rubbish. I couldn't believe it. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was just like going to take me to an adult dating website, but actually, obviously, I'm like £40. But when it does get to that level, let's be honest, like GC2 Trackman, is it going to stay the same or is it going to go up? Or
it will stay the same, Simon. I think the discussion from the start was we just don't want to make another launch monitor that's going to rip people off.
Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. Simon here, and 7 days ago I made a video on the Shotvision app. The brothers got in touch, they're from South Africa, and I said, can I video our conversation, because I'd love to upload it to the channel. I've taken the highlights out of our conversation. We talked for about an hour or so, and just to go more in depth, have a good laugh, have a good chat. Nothing fancy about this video whatsoever, but the information is golden. And if you want to see more of these kind of videos, potentially I do more kind of podcast conversations. I enjoyed the video, I enjoyed making it, and so if this is something that you kind of want to see in the future, then be sure to let me know. If you wouldn't mind leaving a like, subscribing if you're new, go and check the boys app out if you haven't already done so. It's free to download. Shotvision on the App Store, not on Android. We'll get into that in a minute. Right, let's talk to them. Brian, Sean, thank you first of all for having this meeting with me anyway, and obviously getting in touch. Video went up on YouTube, which I did a week or so ago. I'm glad you obviously like the video. It's one of my most popular videos as well, so obviously the interest for it is incredible, which is obviously exciting news for you guys. As far as I'm aware, and probably should start there now, obviously I came across this through Instagram ads, so obviously that's working, and then obviously off the back of that, I've got to do a video on it. But are you guys the only ones that have got this app at the moment? Are you guys the only ones that are developing something in terms of a mobile device that's able to obviously track ball data and everything else?
Yeah, I think, well, nothing. For now, worldwide, we are the only ones, and it's obviously, through your comments on the video as well, it's only available on iPhone right now.
That was going to be my first question.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to know, Android. I mean, that was a bit of a drop of a ball on my part. I didn't actually do any research. Obviously, I've got an iPhone, and it's not on Android. Is that because of software? Is it because of the store? Have you not had time to do it?
Yeah, I think Sean is the technical guy. Yeah, I'm more on the business side of it. So he's the guy that he coded the app. So I think I'm going to let him speak about the tech and the whys and why nots.
Yeah, look, we get that question all the time. Is it available on Android? And we started off on iPhone because obviously we're a small team, and like what you're seeing here, this is basically the team
and our wives.
So this is us, and I mean it took a while actually to develop the technology. It's very much computer vision, machine learning based app, and why we started on Apple was because we kind of understood the hardware that we're going to be working with. So we kind of pinpointed and we figured that from the iPhone 6s and then newer devices would all support 240 frames per second of capture. That's kind of as high as Apple devices go on frames per second. And I mean, speed is what it's all about when you're trying to track it. If you think about any other technology out there, you get apps like HomePort that do the basketball things. It's a much slower moving ball. It's simpler. With golf, it's more complicated than that. And then, so what? Besides the fact that we've got a small team, so I can't do two things at the same time. We decided to focus on iOS because it was a simpler on the hardware side because we knew what we were working with. The problem with Android is that it caters to a wider market. So you get very cheap Android devices and you get the expensive ones. But your app on the Play Store will basically be available to everybody. So you can't limit that. So you're going to get a lot of, let's say, support queries or queries from guys saying that I downloaded the app, but it's not working, or And that's going to come down to that cheaper phone not being able to run the algorithms or the camera not being up to scratch.
Yeah.
But we are working on researching, and we've started with, beta or actually alpha versions of Android to see how viable it's going to be, because obviously a lot of guys are interested in it. But what's nice for us on the iPhone side is that it supports all the way back to the iPhone 6S, which I think you can pick up now for.
So that's incredible. I didn't realise that. So that's how long potentially that you've been working on this software, or in terms of cameras, or
that's kind of the minimum.
That's where Sean started. Sean started at the 6S. That's the phone he had when he started coding the app.
It's exciting though. I mean, obviously, as you now get as phones get better, and I can completely understand the Android side of it. Obviously, iPhones very much. Like you've got 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, and then the specifications of pretty much every single phone. So you've probably got 8 phone models over the last, I don't know, 5 years or whatever to then kind of work the app on. Whereas Android, you've got obviously thousands, and then trying to obviously create a software that then is compatible with all of those. I guess it is obviously a lot harder than just like a video game, for example.
Hundreds. Yeah, it's complicated because it is kind of pushing the device to the limit. You have to know what limits you're working with. And once you start introducing too many variables, then, we never wanted to release an app just to release it. We wanted to make sure it's going to work. And even now with the current version, there are still obstacles to overcome because of setup, different environments, conditions, the way guys set up the device. And we're working on communicating that a little bit better, and we'll run through it with you as well a little later on. But and with Android, you're just going to introduce so many new variables at this point in time. I'm not saying a year from now we can't maybe restrict it to a certain range of devices, but that's kind of basically why we started on iOS, because we could deliver a product that we can stand behind and back, and say that as long as you've got that device and newer, you'll be okay.
I mean, it's exciting though. I mean, for me, it was again, I don't know why potentially this hasn't been picked up on quicker, especially, don't get me wrong, now a lot of the guys on YouTube have seen my video do over 50,000 views in a week. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have quite a few more reviews of that app popping up over the next month or so, which is exciting for you guys. And then obviously the potential for this. I mean, when I hit one ball with my 7-iron, and it was I mean, I know my numbers relatively well, but it was there. So I was just like, oh my God, this could actually be a thing. And obviously, don't get me wrong, my setup, everything else, what I might have done, might have obviously mixed up the results. But the potential of this now being a thing, and let's be honest, before Doppler and radars and everything else, it was just a slow-mo camera with a line on a ball, and then just picture frame by frame by frame, and then it works out some kind of launch and everything else. And that was launch monitors for the most part. And now, I mean, the great thing about this app is that everyone's got a phone, and everyone's got a phone on them. And if they just have a tripod in their stand, if they're in their golf bag, pretty much wherever they go to practice from here on out, they've got a launch monitor on them. And as I said, it's at the moment, I think it's the potential of it is seriously undervalued, because you don't, first of all, you have the convenience, and then second of all, the cost effective side, you've got most of the equipment already bought, if that makes sense. You just have to download the software, and then you're basically there, which is very exciting. I imagine you guys, in terms of envision for this app going forward over the next 5 years, obviously it's going to be quite big.
Yeah, there's a few features that we're planning, but I think to get back to, we were actually laughing about it, not laughing about it, but we were relieved when we did see your numbers, because there was a lot of vibration, and we'll discuss that with you. But that's where you got the 15,000 RPM spin from, and that could have gone either way. It could have gone 300 yards. It was. We'll explain the concept, or Sean will explain the concept. But we were very grateful that was all in that ballpark figure, because it could have been a lot worse. And I don't think you would have made that video then, because you would have said, not great.
That's the thing. At the end of the day, I wanted to make sure I had some kind of clear results, because again, for me, especially showing my audience, I mean, I don't know your numbers. Did you have more downloads after the video went up? Did you see a spike in that?
We always see
it. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, we always.
That's what I was looking for. That's the only reason I set up this meeting. A quick thank you. Now,
we'll ask for your details later for the year. Thank you.
So obviously, I mean,
we remain a small team. We're two brothers, and we're in this this race.
Whose idea was it? Who came up with the idea?
We did it on holiday. We went on holiday. We were like, oh, we should do a golf app. And we actually started, when we started the whole thing, we wanted to do a tracer. Like the shot tracer. We wanted to do that.
Oh, that's why you laughed earlier. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where the idea started. And then we started building the technology to do that. And,
yeah.
and as I think we were in a second or third year of development. And then the actual shot tracer guy launched the shot tracer app. And we were like, oh man, there goes our idea. But then we built this technology. We thought that maybe we could do something different.
That was a very, very tough conversation to have because we had a lot of hard words then.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's probably the best thing that could have happened at the time, though.
Probably.
You could have, I'm sure you would have made a very good shot tracer app. But I definitely think there's a lot more scope for what you have at the moment. In terms of, obviously, you said small team, you two brothers, your wives as well. Obviously, is this full-time now? Is this full-time job in terms of everything? And investors moving forwards, do you just need basically time or do you need money? Or what takes it to the next level, basically?
I think I've moved over basically from the 1st of October now. So I'm still busy with my other business as well, but in a lesser sense. And Sean's been basically doing it full-time. I think his wife left her job earlier in the year, and then my wife recently joined us as well.
So you're very much full in now. This is definitely this is it.
Yeah, money wise or investment wise.
Look, we're kind of self-sufficient now. I mean, what we're making, we're spending into ads and stuff, and but we are looking at taking development to the next level. And I mean, we're always open to chat. We've spoken to some golf companies and those conversations always kind of go 50-50. Like once you start moving into this space, you'll see most companies, they want to see what they can get out of it and you can get out of it. And so it's always long, drawn out conversations. So those things are ongoing. But for us at the moment, it's really just about making it better and making sure that you guys and the golfers get the best experience. For us to communicate, that's why kind of the wives came on board. They're going to do the video side of things and the social media side of things, because finding the time is difficult. I've also got a young daughter.
100%. You don't have to tell me. Finding the time, especially social media wise, it's like a bottomless pit, and you can do, as I say, like I saw that Instagram ad. I was like, what's this? I thought it was like complete rubbish. I couldn't believe it. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was just like going to take me to an adult dating website. But actually, obviously I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it was quite funny because I had no idea what I was going to do for a video that day. And I was like, well, this is obviously going to be a must.
The anxiety that comes with this whole thing is fine, because like when it was just us, we kind of scrutinized it and we thought, okay, this is a great idea. And then you kind of put it out there for the world. And then it's like being in the ring with Mike Tyson, and you're like,
you were happy with your 50 downloads, and
when you mentioned, like when you saw the ad and you were like, this is rubbish, you'd be surprised how many comments we get from people. The app shows what it's doing. Like Brian's the guy hitting the shot there. So he hits the shot, the app detects it, and then you'll still get a comment of a guy that says, no, iPhone can't do this.
Or not with that swing speed, you can't carry that distance, but the angle and everything is just so...
But then this is why, I don't know why, like Golf Digest or... Do you know what I mean? Why the big Golf WRX, I thought that'd be all over their forums, the amount of people that love writing about that. So that's why, for me, I couldn't quite believe when I saw that. And I imagine that's probably the same for a lot of them when they look at it and they get it through their whatever social media. And they go, I can't be the first one to have stumbled across a phone app that tracks your ball data. But lo and behold, obviously, I was very pleasantly surprised, and we're here now obviously talking about it, that's exactly what it can do. But it does seem too far-fetched, too out there, because no one's talking about it at the moment. And I know you guys kind of wanted that, so you could work out a few more of the kinks. But we're here now. So it's as I said, it's exciting. And as I said, I think you'll see a lot more people, especially on YouTube now, seeing like the success, because there's no question, like we all watch each other's videos, what's doing well, what's not doing well. And I think there'll be obviously a lot more people wanting to test your app and try it out. So you've got about a week to perfect it. Get it to the best possible.
We are on it. We are doing it.
We're gonna go, cheers, man.
Listen,
I guess that's like the next step, isn't it? Going to those kind of shows of, this is what we have, this is our stand, come and try it, come and test it. I imagine there's probably quite a few people that go there from like magazines like Golf Digest and Golf WRX, and they'll want to try it, review it, test it. But I'll be, mate, if you guys have me, I'll come down. I'll hit a few shots.
That'll be awesome.
I mean, I haven't got a job now, so I mean, that's it. I mean, this is what I do. Exactly.
Just quickly, Simon, at the bottom line, like what you spoke about, where we're at now and where we kind of aim to go and the potential of everything.
Yep.
Obviously, we're still working on everything, but it's progressively getting better and better. But I think what the real, not the struggle is, but the goal is to get validation. You know, I think, like you said, there's a lot of skepticism about it, you know, because everybody's familiar with what's available. You know, it's either TrackMan or GC or the big brands. You know, they trust it, and people trust them, and they've got the validation because they've been out there for so long. You know, we're quite new, and I think we haven't even scratched the surface. You know, like you said, people don't know about it yet. I think that's the big challenge is for people to start getting to know us and then getting the validation of saying, well, this is accurate, maybe not perfect, because I mean, it is new, it's new technology, we are limited by an iPhone, you know, there's always going to be maybe some potential hiccups, but to say that if you get the setup right and you're working on your wedge game or you're working on your mid irons, even drivers, to say that it can work, it can benefit your game and get that validation, I think that's kind of where we're going to now, you know.
Because what is your validation? What is your, where you go, you open up, is it going to be, for example, you look on your iPhone and you see it on Twitter or Instagram, who's talked about your app and gone, oh my God, is it going to be like your PGA Tour Pro? Is it going to be your Golf Digest?
It's guys like you. So like, you guys
validate. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That's
a good...
yeah, exactly. That's what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, so that's, I think that's, you know, getting not respect, and respect is earned, but like just for people not to question it as much. You know, yeah, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be a TrackMan because it's not anywhere close to.
It's interesting because my Golf Spy, I'm pretty sure they do like a top 10 in launch monitors.
They do, yeah, we're not there.
People comment actually on their videos and say, why aren't you testing out the app and whatever, but I think we're not quite there yet. You know what I mean? I think we just need to
But then that's I guess the kind of things then you're waiting for, aren't you? You're waiting for number 7 best launch.
Like Sean mentioned, what you're doing is actually helping us gain some form of validation, you know what I mean?
No, it's very exciting. So I think there's but then I can't see it is one of those, like, you're lucky that, first of all, Apple, and just not even Apple, but Android, any phone going forward, the main focus, I think, nowadays for any phone company is the camera. Like, it's do or die. Like, does your camera do slow-mo? Does it do this? Does it do that? And if it doesn't do that, then obviously they're not going to have a very good phone lasting for very long. So I think the technology that we've seen, I remember like coaching 5 years ago on like my iPad and my iPhone, and like the slow-mo was horrendous. Whereas now it's just like incredible, to the point that now I like keep buying cameras for my YouTube channel, but actually my iPhone does better than any of that. So you're going to only get stronger and better over the years with obviously the technology, and luckily most of these companies are pumping millions, if not billions, into their phone technology to make sure it's the best that you can possibly work with. Do you have to change, by the way, every time a new phone comes out? Do you have to add it, or does it kind of work?
No, it's
clever man. Yeah.
Back over to Don.
It's relatively the same. It's actually quite ironic. When I spoke about, we started with the iPhone 6s and up to the latest iPhone, for the purpose that we're using the camera, like the iPhone 6s is good enough. So the cameras keep getting better, but not necessarily in the way that we want them to. Like, we actually need more frames per second. Like, if we could take the 240 frames per second slow-mo, if Apple could double that or triple or go to 480 and then to 960, which I know some Samsungs do that to some extent, you know, I think that'll take it to the next level. But the technology that we're using in the iPhone hasn't really changed much over the last 5 years. The cameras are getting better, like in low light. So the 12 might be better in indoor mode, but on the actual frames per second that we're getting, it's been pretty consistent since the start. Yeah. So I think in that terms, there's not really anything that's changed, and it remains a complicated problem to solve because a golf ball moves like if you're hitting drivers, it's going at up to 220 miles an hour if you're one of these long drive guys. You know, that's insanely fast, and yeah, most apps out there don't track anything nearly as fast. So we still believe our technology that we built is unique, and it's not that easy to maybe understand or for guys to even trust that it's possible. But yeah.
You just need the iPhone 13 to come out with 1,000 frames per second.
That'll be brilliant.
Then you basically got a GC.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's going to be next level in terms of accuracy, which is yeah, very exciting. What was I going to say quickly about the app? Oh, that was it. So pricing wise, I think you've got it spot on at the moment in terms of like £7 a month, £40. But when it does get to that level, let's be honest, like GC2 TrackMan, is it going to stay the same or is it going to go up? Or
it will stay the same, Simon. I think the discussion from the start was we just don't want to make another launch model that's going to rip people off, because if that makes any, not rip people off, that's a horrible statement, but I'm saying,
I know what you're saying.
We just want to stay there. We just kind of want everybody to have it. If they have an iPhone, they should have the tech.
Yeah, exactly. And if 1 million people download it, 7 million a year, or 7 million a month, I should say, perfect. You boys are living, exactly, 100%. There's nothing to say that phone.
Yeah, they're also very lucky with their setup, because you need that little green light to go on to have an accurate track. We can't do that for the user. He's going to plonk it out.
Actually, that's a good question. I'm guessing because it gives you more frames to work with. Obviously, being behind you and to the left-hand side, I found that a bit like encroaching, let's say. I might have had it too close. I don't know. But does it have to be that side?
Yeah, the reason it's on that side, and it's also, we started, when we first started testing our alpha or beta version of the app, we had it on the other side.
Of course.
Yeah, the thing is, as you say, GCs and all the other camera-based launch monitors, they can put in their own camera at 1,000 frames per second or 2,000, 10,000, whatever that is. So they can put it very close to the golf ball. And, you know, in that short space, the ball, with 10,000 frames per second, you know, per second, you've got enough. The golf ball, basically, it's gone within 0.013 seconds. The golf ball is already out of frame. So, and in that aspect, they've got a lot more data to work with, so they can put it closer to the ball. So we had it at 4 feet in front of you, but then we noticed that you guys and across the world, you've got ranges, and your range box on your right hand and on your on the ball side, on that side, you don't have a lot of space. You know, you're going to go moving to the next guy's box. So we thought that it will be better if we need that 4 feet at least, or 3 feet or something like that. So we said if we put it 4 feet in your own box, so behind you, then you can still use it in your own range box without having to then place it on the other side. So it makes more sense usability wise, but it is a different concept because everybody else does it another way, because that's what the technology is allowing them to do. With us, we need that space. So we figured if we put it on your behind you, then you can still have it in your 2 meters or 3 meter range box. Whereas if you put it on the other side, then normally your ball feeder will be on that side, or there will be a barrier on that side, and you won't be able to put your device there.
It makes sense. It makes sense. As I say, I think there's, again, like one of my next questions is obviously, which we kind of pretty much touched on, is limited by technology. And as obviously the more you've got to work with, basically you're just limited with what you've got to work with at the end of the day. I mean, as soon as, like, who knows where we're going to be in 5 years' time. And then all of a sudden, I mean, you probably have an Apple Watch, and then you'll have a launch monitor, whatever it is.
That's coming in the next month or two. Is like the Apple Watch feature, so you don't have to look at your device. You can just pop it up in your watch. So that'll be nice. That'll be more convenient.
What do Android users do?
And Android.
I said, what did Android users do? We won't go there. Accuracy tested. Have you guys tested this alongside like a leading standard, like a TrackMan, GC2, FlightScope, etc.?
We don't have access to TrackMans or GCs. What we did do is, and because
we didn't have it against GC2.
In our local pro shop, but that was indoor. Indoors is not our. We do promote the indoor, but it's very much, we're not allowed to say it on the iStore, but it's very much a beta, because there's a lot of factors with indoor, flickering lights and your background. Like, a lot of people will have the right condition, but they're hitting the ball and their wall is white or very light colored. So how is the camera supposed to distinguish between what's background and what's ball? So we've got a lot of issues there. But with it's not a lot. It's just there are more things that can go wrong in a setup like that. But if you have the right,
obviously, I want to test the app against a GC2 or Foresight or whatever. But if I do this outside, I'm going to go on a grass range outside, which is probably going to give it its best
it's going to be
possible outcome. And then test them alongside that. So it should be relatively close. I mean, this is I did this once. I think I mentioned in the video. I obviously measured like a Bushnell against a cheap Amazon rangefinder that I found. But it's kind of one of those. It's like, who's actually right? Because it's difficult. Obviously, you presume the one with the 10,000 like frame rate is right. But it is very much, we don't know at the end of the day if it's gone 281 or 285, because we're not going to walk it out. But it's interesting to obviously put them alongside each other. And in terms of like value, I mean, £7 a month versus your house, it's going to be 80%, 85%. If you guys can get 90% accuracy, do you know what I mean? I think it's astonishing. But I think it'd be a cool video, and obviously it'd be interesting to see where it goes from there, really.
There's a guy actually on YouTube, I think he's from the Netherlands, who did a comparison indoors from our app versus the GC2 that he had on there. He was a very analytical guy. I think it was a couple of months ago in April, I think he did the video. He's very analytical, so he actually measured the differences exactly by percentage to the GC2. And with the carry distance and the ball speed, we were within 8% of the GC2. And then
that was indoors as well.
Sorry?
He did that indoors, was it?
He did it indoors, but he was using outdoor mode because he couldn't get the app to read him. We think it was lighting again. So there was
So the thing with the light is, so basically that guy tested it, came within pretty close. The club speed was out, but we had to make some adjustments to the algorithms to get to fix that bug. So that was fixed since he tested it. And then there's some other guys who tested it against the Garmin G80. He said it was pretty spot on in comparison. It's also on YouTube. I mean, you can go check it out.
But as I say, obviously my setup thing at the start. I mean, do you want to get into that now? Do you want to talk about the setup side of it?
Let's quickly chat about it. Yeah, I think there's not that much to say, but just basically.
I think. Sorry. If I could just mention something quickly before you actually start a session. There's a few things that are in the app that a lot of people aren't aware of, and that's what Sean said, we're working better on communicating. If you can actually adjust your lofts for your clubs in the app. Okay, so, and you can choose your lighting mode. So if you're in a dark situation, you can switch to a low light or indoor mode within the app settings.
I'm not sure if you did that. Did you, when you were hitting, did you change any settings?
I didn't know. I think it was relatively light when I started the video, and then obviously because like 6 o'clock in the UK, it gets dark quite rapidly. So I think it got darker and darker. And as you know, obviously I moved on to the driver towards the end of the video, which is obviously going to have somewhat more complications because of ball speed. But I didn't know about and again, now obviously I've seen the app. I mean, it's in my best interest to do another video on it because it did so well last time. But I mean, more in depth, I'm going to play about with it for like a couple of weeks, and then, as you say, try the different modes, go in depth, and then obviously see hopefully the best results.
Yeah. Okay. So setup.
Okay. So basically, as Brian mentioned, we're working on communicating we work on a lot of stuff, a lot of content we're working on too, because we do get these questions a lot about, I'm not getting the results that you guys are promising, and obviously we work on trying to communicate this. Normally when a guy emails our support channel and we get in touch with them, they'll normally within a couple of replies, they'll say like, okay, now it's working better, because they've just done something small wrong. It's not like our guidelines are that strict. The app does adjust, like for example, your light. We've got 2 modes, the standard mode, which is for sunlight or when you've got decent light, but it's not like black and white. It does adjust. Algorithms kind of adapt to the light with the ISO settings and stuff like that. So, but in your case, what we kind of noticed, you were in in a covered range area, and it was kind of cloudy, and so in that environment, it might start to affect the way the camera is able to see the ball and track the ball, because in the end of the day, it's a camera-based launch monitor. It needs to see the golf ball in order to give you accurate data. So once it gets too dark, then you've got to switch over to the other mode, or the indoor or low light mode, and then it'll start tracking, start to distinguish a little bit better the ball.
Because I guess that's a big thing, really. I mean, majority of people want to use this probably on the range at night time when they can't actually play golf. So, I mean, artificial lighting, I should say, and obviously using it indoors. I mean, I know the iPhone 11 Pro is a lot better now with artificial lighting. So, obviously, that's a big bonus. But obviously, not everyone's going to have the iPhone 11 Pro. And again, that goes back to you guys earlier in terms of who got what phone, what's going to work so well. And it's difficult for you to just go, if you buy the Pro version, you're going to get great results, whatever, which is obviously very difficult, like blanket statement. But again, and also because I was on the range as well, because it's a wooden range, which isn't everyone's range. Most ranges are like on concrete, so you're not gonna have that issue. Like vibrations, anything else, that's obviously going to make somewhat of an impact, and I guess that probably didn't help my case.
Yeah, we could see that. We could actually see that in the video. Like when you hit the ball, you could see in your camera at the back was actually kind of moving, shakes in it, and that will happen to the phone as well. And the reason for that is, and we're trying to code around this. It's very difficult because when you hit the ground, even if you're on turf, it doesn't have to be a wooden deck, but it obviously gets worse when you've got a lot of give in your surface area. But is that the optical image stabilization, OIS, the optical image stabilization that's built into the iPhones. I think that's from the iPhone 7 and up to the latest iPhones. Have the camera is suspended between little magnets. So what happens is if you hit the ground, that little camera kind of shakes with these micro vibrations, like your camera does when you hit the leg. That kind of happens, but it happens so fast that it sometimes can throw off it makes the image or the preview coming through the camera almost unreadable by the algorithm when that happens too much. And that's why we always recommend the golf towel, because that kind of deadens the vibration. When you put your tripod, or even if you don't have a tripod and you just kind of put your golf towel down in a bottle of water and you lean your phone against it in that position, that'll work as well. So that's a key thing that we are working on, actually improving that. And then that'll be coming out soon. But that's one of the biggest things, and that's why you saw these little auto detections coming out of your phone, like you and then it will give you a number. Is because what's actually happening is someone next to you is hitting the ball, and the camera is actually live, so it's tracking, and then it gets a trigger, and because the camera is shaking, it kind of just detects something in the background or whatever, and it'll throw out some weird number. So that's something that we're working on, but that's why we always recommend the golf towel. If you put that down, you should be okay.
Yeah, just fold it up, nice and soft, or like make it fold it up.
So it's not ideal, but again, it's like we're so ahead of the curve. Actually, you asked who else is doing this, and if I have to say where it started, maybe a company that did it was Bridgestone. I don't know if you were ever aware of the BeFit Golf app that Bryson DeChambeau kind of promoted a few years ago. You kind of had to hold the phone. Someone had to hold the phone, then do a recording of the golf shot. And then you take the phone and you have to like tap the ball, and then you have to tap the ball again, and then it will do all the calculations and give you not even all the stats. It'll just give you like your carry distance or your ball speed or whatever. So that's kind of what they did, and then we took it just to another level by doing a full launch monitor like you would get with a GC or whatever, full camera based.
100%. No, I mean, I think it's highly undervalued for what it is at the moment, as I say, and this feeds into earlier when obviously I made the video on it, and I can't believe I'm not the only one, by the way. After I made my video, I went and actually looked, has anyone made a video on this? And I think a few other YouTube, as you said, a few other people have made videos on it. I kind of knew it was going to do well. Like I get like a bit of a feeling now, like if I'm doing like a charity shop hunt, or if I'm doing like the most expensive versus cheap, I know it's going to do well. Yeah. When I knew there was going to be like, if I put the word free and app and iPhone all in one title, I kind of know it's going to be well. And when I was obviously testing the app itself, and it shot out some kind of number close to my 7 iron, as I say, setup wise, I'm glad I had this conversation with you guys. So obviously we could probably put that a bit more to the test. But I knew it was going to do well, and I think for you guys as well, it's from my point of view anyway, there's no question. I think a lot of people that are watching this video or watching this conversation will understand that this is kind of the future, realistically, and I think obviously you guys only go pick up traction from here, which is obviously very exciting for you both and your wives and everything else going forward. Hopefully it means you guys get to play more golf now. That's the thing. As soon as you start working in golf, zero golf is actually getting played, especially when obviously every living day you'll work, you're obviously customer feedback or trying to develop the app and get better.
I think there was just one more thing I wanted to mention. I think a lot of people don't realize this, or when they do go for a TrackMan or a GC session, usually those numbers are normalized. And the app auto adjusts for altitude. So you might not have an issue because you're very much, you don't have altitude where you're at. But a lot of people, I think, might be hitting also and not getting distances they want. But there is a button as well in the feed, in your gapping feed, that does switch between normalized numbers and then altitude numbers. So what we, for instance, do, we have a course not about 2 hours away that we love playing, but that's at 7,000 feet and we're at 2,000. So when we go to that course and we open our gapping feed, just all our numbers are automatically adjusted. So if it went from, let's call it 170, 180 yard, 8 or 7 iron, I don't know, I'm too scared to say because a lot of people tend to think that's too far. And then you kind of hit a 200 or 210 yard 7 iron. It's huge.
Moving on from that, do you ever get weird looks? Because obviously I'm the first one in Newbury, in Berkshire, to have one of these. Well, I presume I am. I might not be, to have their iPhone or whatever. Have you ever had people come up to you going, what you got there? What are you doing? Have you had people come up and then you're like, oh yeah, we developed this app, and they're like, no, you didn't. And you're like, yeah, no, we did.
It does happen. Yeah, there's always some skepticism, and you'd be surprised at how many guys they kind of look at it and then they see, but it doesn't register. I don't know. Yeah. For some reason, it's like they don't understand it.
But I guess that's because, as you said, like because the market is pretty much led by 3 companies: TrackMan, GC2, and all their top range. I know GC2 is, I think, 6,000, 7,000, but obviously their quads, when you're doing club data, and again, ball data and club data, as soon as you want the club data, that's obviously the expensive side of it. And when they're like £20,000 mark, I can understand why when someone walks past you guys and you go, we've designed this to do on the phone, well, we can't have, because even SkyTrack, I mean, SkyTrack's probably your middleman in terms of like launch monitor, that's still 1,000. And then obviously I know the handheld ones are now starting to come out as well to obviously try and middle that kind of gap. But I think because these companies are spending, like FlightScope got their Mevo, I think their Mevo Plus now, which I want to find, but that's about 600, I think, something like that.
We've actually tested.
It's still a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it is. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off if you still have something.
No, go on, start Cameron.
So like we've actually tested against the Mevos and stuff like that, and they're obviously radar based, and we've had them set up pretty solidly, or pretty consistently, like they said, and we've actually picked up variations where, especially on stuff like launch angle, because we're camera based, that like whatever launch angle the camera's seeing on that golf ball is always going to be true to what angle it's going to be at. But we've seen some strange things out of these budget launch monitors, especially on launch angle. You need like a 5 iron and ours will read 12 degree or 13 degree launch angle, which obviously we can see with our own eyes, it's coming out low. And then the Mevo would play something like 20 degree launch angle, but the 2 carry distances would be very similar. So sometimes we kind of see these discrepancies, but it's difficult to say exactly which one's right and which one's wrong.
I think the one thing you guys, this is what's going to stop everything in terms of you guys being very much mainstream and everyone downloading this, because at the end of the day, everyone's got a phone. I think one guy in my comment section said he'll buy an iPhone to obviously have this as an app. So obviously, I'm sure Apple will probably want to invest. But you're only, if I hit 100 golf shots and all 100 of them are very much true to what I'd imagine my wedge goes, my 7 iron goes, my phone. As soon as one of those, because this is the thing that let the Mevo down for me, especially that I use the small one, and again, that's astonishing, the fact that even that picks, I don't know how that even worked, but again, that picked up some ball data. as soon as one of them pops out and it is like just out there and you know it's wrong, that's kind of where you fall down a tiny bit. So I think as soon as, and again, you've obviously got to make sure people are setting it up correctly, but it's kind of making it idiot proof as well as every number being pretty much to the mark. And then there's no question in my mind that obviously I think everyone would probably have this on their face.
I think that's kind of my first priority on the next couple of weeks and months of development is to make the flow into setting it up, and obviously the communication about setting it up just more, you know, foolproof in a sense. Not that golfers are fools, but to make it easier to understand so that we can minimize some of those issues. And then also, like for example, where we have the settings where you were supposed to select low light or not, you know, to have that kind of front and center when you're starting your session instead of having it somewhere in the back, you know. So we're working on that user interface and user experience things to make that better. And I think in the long run, it's going to make a big difference to make it easier to understand and simpler to set up.
I think another big thing, like we're talking about it now, Sean mentioned it, you mentioned it, but I think our affordable premium is also, you know, maybe not communicating or letting the person still understand it is a launch monitor. Any launch monitor that you have out there has a certain setup. You can't just put a ball down and put the machine down and say, okay, that has to work.
You can't leave it in the boot of your car and then go net balls and expect it.
Exactly.
So TrackMan's got a certain setup and a GC's got a certain setup. And I think with the GC, even you have an alignment stick. And so it requires a lot of user input. With our app, it's kind of like guys expected to...
Yeah, you put it down, you hit it, and it must work.
It should just be perfect. You know? And then that's kind of one of the obstacles or barriers that we're working on, is that you should take the same kind of care maybe on the setup of Shotvision as you would setting up Amoeba or setting up GC, because they've all got their tolerances, and outside those tolerances, your data will start to fall off. So in that sense, I think we can definitely work on communicating that better, and yeah, I think then we're golden. I think at that point, like you said, a lot more people will start to trust the data, and obviously like things that you experienced with some random reads, that does kind of throw off your perception of it. You know, if you're hitting a 7-iron and it's throwing up 240, you know, automatically you think...
That is my normal 7-iron, by the way. But
that was the actual good read. Yeah.
That's the knockdown, that is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Boys, I'll chat to you, obviously, after we finish this conversation. But I've asked pretty much, I think, everything. Obviously, it's a pleasure speaking to you guys. Very exciting times ahead, I'm sure. Whoever's watching this video now is obviously very excited, and obviously going to be more interested in the potential of where this is going and what it's going to do to the market, especially in terms of launch monitors. Is there any other questions you guys want to ask, cover?
I think all I want to ask you is, like, if you do get back to using the app and you have like any questions or whatever, just send us a mail. We'll set up a call. I usually reply fairly quickly, so you can just send us a mail, and then just... We also mentioned it now, but it's very easy to spot vibration when you're using the app. Some of the numbers will just be completely off. So you'll get like a 2-degree launch angle or a 15,000 revolutions per minute spin rate. That's where you see that vibration coming through.
Well, but we're working on that as well. Like if you do hit a shot and you get vibration, we want actually to give the user feedback to say, check this out, you know, or maybe put down your golf towels. Like we wanted to make it more automated in a sense. From if things do go wrong, we kind of want to guide you into how to fix that problem. But then I think we'll leave you with maybe if any of the users out there download the app and they're not getting the results, just get in touch with us. You know, just support@shotvisionapp.com, and we'll do our best to kind of help you guys or help the guys in the right direction.
My anxiety doesn't allow me to sleep, so anytime's fine.
That's it. You're on call 24/7 with all golfers at the range. Guys, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you ever so much for obviously doing this video with me. Very exciting times going ahead.
Thank you, Simon. We really appreciate your time and effort.